that hurt?
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
It's Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it. What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
A zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant
has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
all right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. Still getting used to that new intro. I always expect the old one, and I'm like, oh yeah, I made a fucking new one. So there it is. By the way, if you miss it, there is a new short clip of a Berhalter interview on the non-live section.
How did we miss it? We watch all the pressers.
And yeah, it's just a little clip from a guy who asked Berhalter a real question about a system. And Berhalter gets pretty offended by it. The turd in the background says, "Welcome back to the Straight Red Card. January transfer window has opened, and we've got huge news. My wife has put me on the transfer market. She's looking for a better fluffer. She wants Brett." I don't know if Brett's available. But speaking of open relationships, I'm here for the Carmel Roundabout Report. Did I go around any of those today? I did, but not in Carmel. So it's more in the northern Indianapolis. 96th Street has them all over the place.
The entire north side is littered with it at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd be fine with it if people knew how to work them.
Well, they're building more in Noblesville too, right? So there's more to come there. They just built one near the hospital there in Riverview. Anyhow, so there's your update. Yep, there's your update. Speaking of the turd and open relationships, as he was there, I did watch a video about Anthony Bourdain that was headlined, "Why did Anthony Bourdain commit suicide?" Isn't that, I mean, is that a mystery? He was in an open relationship and he didn't really want to be in one with that chick. And that chick, his wife, I guess, were they married?
Yeah.
Okay. And she was openly flaunting having sex with all these young guys and posted it on Twitter, right? Or whatever, Instagram or whatever the fuck, social media. And then, of course, he was upset by it. And he called her apparently a bunch of times and said, "Hey, what do I got to do?" And she basically said, "Leave me the fuck alone." Or no, she said, "Stop busting my balls," or whatever she said. And then, yeah.
That's what she does, right? That's what she does, right?
Yeah, that's what she said to him. "Quit busting my balls."
I'm saying that's what she does. She's busting some balls.
Well, I think she was just basically doing her thing. And then, yeah, I mean, he was a very emotional guy. He kind of leaned to the dark side anyhow. So, yeah, he committed suicide. There's no mystery as to why he did it. I don't think. Anyhow, I don't think open relationships are the way to go, Brett. I really don't think that that's a good idea for most human beings. That's not healthy. It breeds everything from, guilt to, well, jealousy. Yeah, that's the real bad one. Especially one's doing better than the other. And let's be frank, most gals will have an easier time finding other partners than guys. That takes a little effort. Anyhow, Judgmental Deity says MLS shills on Twitter went crazy this week. They did. They went absolutely nuts. I was there to witness it all week so far. I mean, holy Moses. I am arguing with some guy who's telling me that Miles Robinson is spectacular. He's got fireworks shooting out his ass. But John Brooks, who plays in the Bundesliga, sucks. Garbage.
I guess we
crash.
Do you want to bring that up as fluff then?
No, we can save it for later.
Yeah, we're going to save that for the Miles Robinson segment.
But, it's just my example. By the way, remember I was telling you that one story about Lyndon Johnson? He was in a congressional race down in Texas back in the late 50s, I think it was, and he was running against some farmer, right? And so he's, it's really close. The polls are really close. He's getting kind of nervous. So he pulls his staff together and he says, listen, let's start slipping out rumors out there that this guy fucks his farm animals.
I remember this, yes.
Yeah, and his staff's like, man, you can't do that. That's not true. Of course he doesn't do that. And Lyndon Baines Johnson said, let's just watch him deny it. And that's exactly what happens. They put out some stuff. It got to the media and the press. They eventually asked him about it. And instead of laughing it off and saying, what the fuck are you talking about? He had to deny that he fucked his pigs and his goats and his whatever.
Yeah.
Similar.
It was a different time period. I mean, honor and prestige made a big difference back then. Whereas now you're just like, not only.
Well, I'm tying this back because I think Aaron Rodgers made a joke about Jimmy Kimmel being nervous about the Epstein list coming out.
Yeah, the joke was the inclination that he would be on it, but he didn't say it. And also on top of that, you can be nervous about the list and not be on the list as long as you're friends with a bunch of people on the list.
Well, you can actually be on the way that's being published now. You can be on the list and have nothing to do with any nefarious activity either. You might have just got on his plane to go from New York City to Florida or from Florida to Las Vegas or whatever. We don't know. We don't know who's guilty and who's not. Although there's some people you certainly can suspect based on their past are kind of sleazy, like Bill Clinton. Like, it's not surprising to me he's on there as much as he is, but we'll find out more. My point is to Jimmy Kimmel's, don't. It's a joke. First of all, he was joking.
Well, yeah.
Second, don't go out there and deny when you don't need to. He didn't need to deny.
Mm-hmm.
And now he looks guiltier than ever. And he's all over all the news top stories. And now, whether he likes it or not, now he is associated with it. When what Aaron Rodgers was saying was just he was just poking back at Kimmel for calling him what? I think
he called it
Mad Hatter or something like that.
Tinfoil Hatter, but basically conspiracy theorist nut.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in this argument, Kimmel drew first blood.
That's true.
And he handled this completely wrong, as you said. He didn't have to address it at all. You're right. He didn't have to say a goddamn word because it would have been a news story for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next minute, something else would have happened, and they would have forgotten all about it. But there's no grounds for suing. You can't sue him over that. There's nothing about it. And I know he's threatening to sue him.
But it's a joke. You can't sue somebody from a joke.
Well, it's not defamation.
Right. It was a joke. He made a joke. And now the media has gone and checked in. And, oh, by the way, Jimmy Kimmel's best friend who lives on one of Jimmy Kimmel's properties was the chef.
Yeah. And they actually
Epstein for years.
They actually opened up a business together.
Yeah, a restaurant. So now everybody's really digging in because he denied it. So now they're digging. They're going to find the connections, right?
Real quick, I want to pull up other chats here. No, what part of this makes you think it's North Korea?
What the hell?
I'm over in the UK watching some Josh Sargent light up the league.
They don't have architecture like that in North Korea, by the way. It's all very cold and lifeless. Trust me.
It can't be defamation of character. He didn't say anything.
Yeah,
he said he's going to be nervous when the list comes out. He doesn't say anything. It's not like he's saying like he's on the list. I guarantee it. That'd be saying
that's defamation, right?
You might be able to say defamation, but the problem is he's a public figure, and that's just going to fuck it all up anyways.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to defame a public figure. It's almost the law. You can really
the way the law works.
The way the law works. Now, mind you, he might sue them, and Aaron might end up coming back and saying, "Hey, we're going to settle this out of court," and whatever. But it's never going to land. That's the thing. The only thing is, maybe Pat McAfee's already come out and did a little apology about it, which is strange in its own right.
Yeah, because I don't think he had anything to really do with that except he laughed about it. But yeah, this is what happens when somebody asks you, when did you stop beating your wife? You don't answer because there's no winning answer. And Kimmel should have just stayed.
What Amber Heard did is significantly
different.
than what Aaron said. That 2-second clip. So
right.
I mean, I get it. It was a back and forth. It was. I mean, even if he wasn't joking, he's like, oh, I really think he's nervous. He didn't give any grounds for defamation. So it's different.
It is different. The laws are such that in Depp's case, it was because
it's an article.
Well,
it was an article and everything else ran. So.
Right. She went to a magazine or whatever it was and made all these accusations about him being a horrible human being, like legit in the paper, accusation after accusation after accusation, which did in fact make it more difficult for him to work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he did. Now, even that was hard to prove, right? That was hard to prove until the fact that he came out with all of the tape recordings. Like, if he didn't have any of those, he's not going to win that defamation case.
At that point, it's a he says, she says. If you don't have evidence, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They got video evidence of it.
Right.
Hard to say when it was on the air, but
exactly.
Still.
Well, we couldn't just go into the show without talking about like the biggest thing going on right now in the news, which is you can't avoid that. It's everywhere, and it's so Anyhow, our 2 cents as it is. As far as the Epstein list itself, I think we've got some waiting to do because the way it's coming out part by part, it's hard to say who was involved with what and to what degree, and I don't know how much of this is going to prove because even Bill Clinton already came out with his denial today. Alan Dershowitz came out with his denial yesterday and today, although the way he did it was sketchy at best. Like, instead of just addressing the issue, he went into the whole Israel Hamas thing and comparing it, women being abused and raped. It's like, dude, don't drag that into the discussion about whether or not you did something untoward on. Just make your denial. You didn't do anything. And don't drag some other political issue into the discussion about whether you did something nefarious or not. It didn't look good on his part at all. That's too much. That's digging too deep. Or you protest too much. Fumar Mota says, sometimes it's not about winning the suit, but a settlement apology.
That's true.
Yeah, sometimes it is. You're right. And there are a lot of things settled out of court. And then publicly, you never really hear about what happened, right? I mean, sometimes you get an apology, sometimes you don't.
Like I said, McAfee's already come out, and now mind you, I know I was watching another video, and they were talking about how obviously Pat McAfee shows on ESPN, which is handled by Disney, and they also own ABC, which has Kimmel's show. So Pat's come out and kind of given an apology, not necessarily an apology. He had nothing to really apologize for. He just, he had guests on the show.
I'm sure he won't be having him back on his show.
Probably not. No,
I mean, that was
not because he doesn't want him on there, but I'm guessing there are probably some heads that came down and said, "No more Rogers. No more Rogers."
That's it. He's done. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, if it does go that far, I mean, I think it's just all talk. But if it does go that far, I wouldn't be surprised if Rogers just comes out, "Hey, I was talking out my ass. I'm just, I don't think he's on the list. I mean, I don't know who's on the list. That type of thing."
Right.
So, I mean, it's better to do something like that at that point, really, than having to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyer fees. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a threat right at this point. It
is.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, he could force an apology out of him for sure, as Fumar said.
Yeah. Let's go to happier topics.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let me zoom in here so we can see it better.
Luckily, Matt Miazga doesn't work here. Stray dog who caused $350K in damage to a Houston car dealership now up for adoption. Oh, poor guy. Which one is it? There's two different dogs.
It's got to be this one down here, which I don't think is either of them, quite frankly. I think those are just two random dogs at a kennel.
Yeah, okay.
This guy right here kind of looks like a German Shepherd almost. That kind of a build. Really, it looks like my brother's old dog, Nikita, which is a sheep herding dog. But
what could he possibly be doing to the cars?
Yeah, I was gonna say $350,000 in damage. What could he have possibly done?
I mean, pee on the bumper, bite on the bumper, because he ain't biting a tire down.
How much? I mean, how much of the car he has to bite to make 350. I guess it depends on the car too, but
Yeah, I mean, if it's a Ferrari, but clearly those aren't Ferraris. So, yeah, I don't know.
Here it is. BMR's got it.
Acid piss. What is that dog drinking?
Yeah, well, it is a stray dog. It's drinking whatever it can get its hands on.
Yeah, all right.
Paws on, I guess.
Well, at least he wasn't put to sleep. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just excited.
Yeah.
He has an odd fetish for cars. All right.
Maybe that's what he was doing. Still,
No, you think so, huh? Humping
Still
the
bugs.
cars? I mean,
Yeah.
dogs will hump anything. They seriously will. All right. What else we got here?
That's it. Like I mentioned, that was the only fluff I've got this week. I mean, I could have brought in more, but I figured we've been covering a lot of random topics, and we've been going that 2.5, 3 hours. Regardless.
Yeah, too long.
We'll bring
too
a little
long.
bit of fluff in here, guys, but
It's too long. Yeah.
long gone are the days where we spend 15, 16 minutes on. 20, 25 minutes on fluff.
Because we're already on 15, 16 minutes worth of fluff. I know. Jesus. Speaking of fluffers.
Well, I wanted to also bring up a new topic before we get into some of the other topics that'll take time, obviously.
Okay.
I wanted to bring up a comparison of the of AC Milan's wingers in Serie A. 2 feet elite had posted this.
Okay. Comparing AC Milan's wingers in Serie A. Okay.
So you have Leao over here on the left.
Mm-hmm.
This is shot accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a 28% shot accuracy versus Pulisic, who has a 57.
Okay. Is this going to be a Pulisic fluff piece here that we're doing? Are we fluffing? Fluffing for Pulisic?
Maybe 60, 70% fluff.
Well,
Pulisic.
I
he doesn't
get
win
it.
everything.
No, but I mean, we were told when he was going to AC Milan by some that he was going to have a hard time getting any time on the pitch because Chukwueze's just so much better than he is, and so is Leao, and so he'll be fighting for scraps. Well, they couldn't have been more wrong. That's for sure. Chukwueze's been garbage, pretty much.
Stats, bro.
Yeah, I know.
They're not
Stats
everything. You talk about that.
Yeah, they don't tell the whole story.
Absolutely not.
Yep. All right, so there's that.
We are with the expected goals.
Even playing out of position, Pulisic has doubled his XG and has a 26% goal conversion rate. Inside the box, Pulisic has finished 33% of his shots compared to Leao's 15.7. Yeah, I mean, again, those are stats. I think some of Pulisic's have been tappers. Not to say that Leo hasn't had some tappers too, but that's helped Pulisic finish, I think. But I think Pulisic's been the best winger AC Milan's had this season.
100%.
He's not greedy either, which is also great. He gets back and he plays defense. He doesn't lollygag back like Leao does sometimes.
I mean, Leao's been out for how many games? But he's only
been out injured for like 3 games, I believe.
50 minutes, like 90 minutes off, or 60 minutes. Ah, that can't be right. Is that right? Did Pulisic? I guess maybe Pulisic this time somewhere.
Pulisic gets pulled a lot in the at least when he first got there, at the 65th, the 70th minute, and even recently he got pulled in the 60th. So,
that's what it is.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Let's
All right.
We've already talked about shot accuracy. And there was one in here that I know Leao beat him. I just want to make it look like we're not just fluffing him up.
Yeah. I don't think we do that. I think when
there's a stat in there somewhere, but I'm not gonna.
I think when Pulisic struggled, we've said it.
Yeah,
and I don't think this is like it. Listen, the one thing that
he's having a great season.
I couldn't stand on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is when it was announced that Jordi Mihailovic was coming back to MLS in Colorado to be a DP.
Oh, geez,
all
the
people that came out and said, well, he got played out of position. No, he didn't. No, he fucking didn't. Oh, they played him too centrally. Quit making excuses for him. Did you watch the games he played? He got plenty of opportunities, but he didn't demand the ball. He didn't go back and make sure he was an integral part of the team. He didn't do any of that. He was a fucking passenger. Quit making excuses for him. Yeah, all the games he played, all 30 or so games, he was just, that's all. You're just going to use that as an excuse? No, watch the games. He wasn't good. It's as simple as that. He wasn't engaged. He didn't even look like he wanted to be there half the time. That's on Jordy. So quit making fucking excuses for him. Oh, well, maybe he was the fit. Somebody said, it was the fit. He just didn't fit. Fuck off. He fit just fine enough to play almost 30-plus games, in games.
So
got plenty of touches. He did nothing with them.
What position did he ultimately play?
He played a lot of CAM. And some people are like, well, they asked him to get back a lot. No, they didn't. Have you watched this year's games? He was much further to the front. He was asked to be the link between the midfield and the striker. And he didn't do it. And he didn't take any responsibility. And he always passed the ball to someone else when he could have kept going himself. Listen, I'm sorry.
Just going off of his time in MLS already up until this point, when he was with Chicago, he played predominantly out left,
out wide. Yeah,
and he was non-existent most of the time. He'd flare up from time to time, and then he got sold off to Montreal for a ridiculous sum of grand tam, and they started playing him more centrally located, and he excelled, which is why I asked you, generally speaking, what position he played for us.
Right.
I did see some games, and he did look like he was favoring more that left side, but I don't know. I guess I don't remember necessarily the formation setup. Maybe there were two offensive type of minded midfielders, and he was just on the left a little bit. But that can play that for him, especially. We talked about Pulisic playing out of position. He's doing perfectly fine. We talked about McKinney and Webb being played out of position. They're perfectly fine. But when Georgie gets played out of position, it fucks with his game, fucks with his mind, fucks with the game.
Well, yeah, you can't be that fucking sensitive. You got an opportunity. You got to play out wide sometimes. You got to play. And this year, before they decided to get rid of him, remember, they just all of a sudden gave him a row of games to play.
I think that's jack up that fee that they're getting from Colorado.
It was either that or they were trying to sell him to somebody else, and or they wanted to give him one last chance to prove himself, and he didn't. He went out there and he played like shit, or he was a ghost. He didn't play like shit. He was a ghost. And if you're a ghost, you're playing with 10 men instead of 11. I just want to add this.
Yeah, go for it.
People are like, oh, Matt Doyle. You guys never say anything bad about Matt Doyle. Well, we don't really read a lot of what Matt Doyle has to say.
Are you looking at the comment section, Derek?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I do not have it up. And you never criticize Matt. I don't read Matt Doyle. He's got nothing to say that I want to read. We have met Matt Doyle. He's a very nice guy. We met him in Indianapolis back in 2000 and I don't remember what year it was. He's a very nice guy. But as far as his opinions about how Americans are going to do overseas, that isn't not his strong point. His strong point, of course, is fluffing MLS. That's what he does. Yes. But he needed to be a little bit more careful than to say, these aren't his exact words, but when Jordy left for Aze, he tweeted something like, oh, he's going to dominate this league, or he's going to whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to kill it over there. Or
boss or kill it. Yeah, he's going to kill it or boss it, this league. No, I don't think anybody thought he'd just go over there and boss the league. I mean, there's one thing that your job is to fluff MLS up, but it's also better to be a little cautious sometimes and say, well, I think he's got a great opportunity to grow over there. Would have been a perfectly fine comment to make. But boss the league? Come on, man.
Or simply just say, hey, good for Georgie for getting the call, and best of luck to you in Holland.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he'll fit in nicely in Holland. How about something like that?
So, Brett, what does this say about MLS? That Jordy was a superstar at Montreal, because people have asked this question, and now he's gone to Aze. He was a passenger. Now he's coming back to MLS, and they're giving him a DP contract after what he just did at Aze.
Well, I wanted to cover that a part of some of what you just said there. You had mentioned whenever he started getting playing time, whether or not, because I mentioned that it's going to be jacking up his what he was going to be, what Ozzy was going to get from MLS when they sold him back over.
Mm.
Because if I recall correctly, Georgie wanted to go home, back to the stateside. He was like,
Yeah.
whatever it was, I don't like the cuisine here, or the ladies don't like me, or whatever.
It's not made for everybody.
So he was over there, didn't like it, wanted to go back home. They gave him some time so that they can boost up what little value he had left to go back. Chicago even bailed out on though. The fee that Colorado paid for it, Chicago's like, nah.
Yep.
We'll pass. So yeah, I think that was the main reason was to hike up the price. But what does it say about MLS? I don't think you can use one player as an example of whether or not
Bingo.
MLS is better or this league over here is better. But what I will say, and I've said this a number of times to people, is it's because there's always the excuse of, the magic pill of going to Europe automatically makes this player significantly better. Well, yes, kind of yes and no. To the extent of when you go to Europe, you have to bust your butt day in, day out, because there are 100 fuckers behind you nipping at your heels, wanting to take your spot, kick you to the curb, make you penniless.
Especially in the top teams in Holland. AZ, Ajax, PSV. I mean, you're going to have youngsters right behind you because that's what they do.
Up-and-coming Scarlets, 100%.
Holland, that's what they do is develop players and sell them to everybody else in the top 5 leagues. So you're going to have somebody crawling up your ass. So, yes, you're going to, theoretically, some people will challenge themselves when they go over and say, like Dempsey said, hey, man, I knew every time I came out, I had to fucking be ready, on top of my game, kick ass, because I knew every time they bring in a new manager, I was going to have to win them over. Well, some people aren't made like that. Obviously, Mihailovic is not made like that. He did not like that part of it. He did not like the everyday busting his ball, proving himself every single day. Some people are just not made like that. They're not constructed to deal with that kind of pressure. And so this is his quote. Yeah. Every day here is intense. Every day you have to work as hard as you can and be as perfect as possible. That's what it's like over there. Even if you think Holland is on level playing ground with MLS, all right? Even if you think that's true, what he's saying about his time there is it ain't the same. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody mentions the concept of your thought process has to be sharper. It has to be faster. Right. It's a quicker game.
It is.
I mean, Mark McKenzie was a starter for Philly.
Oh,
and now he went to Genk. It was like, at least starting off, it was like start one game, benched, come off the bench the next game, etc. Yep. Right. And it wasn't until recently that he became a consistent starter.
Last season, yeah.
Yeah. So even going to Denmark and Belgium, you can say, well, the leagues it's a lateral movement. You still have players on par, if not a little bit better, or maybe just a little bit worse than you, that are constantly biting at your heels. So you have to keep performing. You have to keep working at it.
I don't know.
And that's what's going to make you sharper. So, like I always talk about, like when Dempsey and Dempsey was later in his career, but Dempsey, Michael Bradley. Here's Josie Altidore. LB says Josie scored 40 goals for AZ. Not really a good league. Josie came to MLS and was a failure. Was he an actual failure for the first couple seasons for TFC? I thought he was okay-ish.
Yeah, he was good the first couple seasons.
40 goals, it wasn't 40 goals in one season though either.
No, it wasn't.
I was across 1.5 or 2 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, and it's across 1.5 seasons. Listen, I mean, again, you can't use Josie as an example, and we can't use Jordy as an example. Mm-mm. Josie flourished as a big, powerful center forward in Holland. Yes, he did. But when the pressure was really on and he had to take it to the next level in the EPL, he couldn't handle it.
He played for Hull and then Sunderland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Josie, prior to going over to Europe and Spain, was doing pretty goddamn well for the Red Bulls. Mm-hmm. And when he came back, when they still had the midget Italian guy on the team there at Toronto, he was doing great. He was getting great service. He was scoring goals. And then the little midget guy left, and then he wasn't so good anymore. So again,
Yeah.
You can't take one example or even two examples, this Jordy being the case, and saying, in the Jordy's case, and saying, see, one of the best players in MLS couldn't crack it in a 6, 7, 8 best tier league in Europe. So obviously MLS sucks. In the same way, you can't say, well, look at Josie. Look at Josie. He scored 40 goals in Holland. So Holland must suck, and MLS must be better than Holland. You can't do either of those two things because those are just individual circumstances. Yeah. And there are different reasons why Jordy failed and Josie succeeded.
Well, I brought while you were talking there, I brought up Joe Scally as an example. He played for New York City for
barely
a game or two, and then was sold off. And then half a season later, he's a starting player, left and right, for a mid-table Bundesliga team. What does that mean that MLS or Bundesliga is not that great because he barely played at New York City, but now he's starting in a Bundesliga team?
Exactly. Again, Brett, perfect example of why you can't use Joe Scally as an example of anything. He barely got to play at NYCFC. Barely. He was not a starter. He wasn't considered anything like that for that team. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to Bundesliga and he's almost immediately a starter. Does that mean the Bundesliga is worse than MLS? You cannot draw conclusions based on individual, stories, because stories are different for each person. They succeeded in one place and not the other for a whole bunch of different reasons. Let's say in MLS, they don't really like playing young players. That could have been one reason Scally didn't get to play at NYCFC. They considered him too young, too green. Well, they were wrong. Then he went to fucking Bundesliga and maybe he blossomed. I don't know. Yeah. But we can't draw conclusions between the two leagues based on that situation.
The big factor is going to be the team you're playing for, tactics being used, and how you're being utilized. I'm going to go back to Josie on this. When he was at Red Bulls, he was playing alongside Juan Pablo Hanel.
Yep.
And Juan Pablo was the go-to guy for the team.
Yep.
He always passed him the ball. Josie always made the runs to break the lines, and the balls got to him. He had a good season with him. He went to Spain. We talked about it. He was actually doing okay-ish there for a bit.
That loan to Xerxes. Yep.
And then he went to Hull, sucked.
Yep.
Went to Aze, killed it.
He had great service at Aze, by the way.
And then he went back to England at Sunderland, sucked. Relatively speaking, but it still sucked.
It wasn't all his fault that he sucked either. Sure. No one would pass him the ball.
The big difference there is, again, Josie, how he's used at Aze was cutting through the lines. Even though he was a bigger striker when he was younger, he was never a target man.
No,
he never was used as a target man.
Exactly.
And then once he went to England, they're like, "Well, geez, you're like 6'2" and 185 pounds. You should be a target striker." Well, then Josie's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with my back to the goal?"
Right, because he'd never been asked to play with his back to the goal. Right.
So it's a bit different when you can't just sit there and go like, well, he got these amount of goals here and he sucked over here. Therefore, it really depends. And the same thing is happening here, all across the board. It's a bad basis of judgment. The only thing I can say about the difference between MLS and playing in Europe, even a lateral move, like we said, is how sharp you have to be as a player.
Right.
And that you can notice that. And I always bring up Bradley, even Josie to an extent, but Dempsey when they came back to MLS or came to MLS or back to MLS, whatever. It was maybe not that first season, maybe not even the second season, but you started seeing a decline as far as how sharp they were. Their passes were no longer as accurate as they were. They're not getting older. Spots. They were getting older too. Mm. So it's just a massive difference. Even when Donovan went to Europe for those loan stints
at Everton,
he was incredibly sharp during that time period.
He was.
Came back to MLS and never really had anybody who's going to upseat Donovan at Galaxy. I mean,
no one. And here, this goes on to what Jordy. Let me finish what he says. The first weeks were a shock. The pressure to get the best out of yourself and each other, the intensity of the level of training, it was more drastic than expected. So there you go. If you don't think going over and playing even for a mid-table, let's say Utrecht, okay? Let's say you're playing at Utrecht and your name is Taylor Booth. I'm sure Taylor Booth's going to tell you that that's going to be much more intense for him than any time he played. Well, he never played in MLS, so it's not a great example. But, it's obviously the pressure there to be on your game 100% of the time is much more intense, even if you go to Holland. And then, you can still say, well, MLS is just as good as Holland. That's not the point. The point is the intensity. The point is pushing yourself to the next level. And that's it. It's not about comparing leagues, which is all I got to see for the last 2 or 3 days. It's getting annoying.
We'll be diving further into that as well.
Yep.
USA Expat says, who cares if your team loses in MLS? Attitudes.
That's part of it. That's probably part of it.
If you're Mihailovic and you're playing over in Holland and you have a couple of mediocre to less than mediocre games,
you're out.
But your team's losing, some changes are going to be made.
Yeah.
Guess what? Your ass might be put on the chopping block. You're the fresh meat at this point, and you're not making yourself known to the team. You're not making yourself known to as the league itself.
And there's always youth and depth right behind your ass too, ready to take your spot. Especially if you play at AZ. There's someone behind you just drooling for your spot. We're in MLS. I guarantee you Mihailovic is going to go to Colorado. I don't care how many bad games he has. He's a DP. He's playing every fucking game.
Yeah.
He's playing every game. I don't care how much they lose. He and Stefan will play every single fucking game that season.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, if you do lose in MLS, there's just not as much pressure because it's not like you're going to get relegated. Yeah,
you have to be one of the top 2/3 of the teams in the league just to make the playoffs.
And then everybody gets to make the playoffs practically. Here, you get a trophy. You get everybody gets into the playoffs here.
Yeah.
So you're right. The pressure is just not as intense. Although, Lawless will say things like, and I quote or semi-quote, because I'm not going to get all the words right. Well, you can't tell me that players in MLS don't want to win. No, nobody's saying that.
He says that.
But he says that. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sure they do want to win. But there are no consequences for losing.
Yeah.
That's the point. Oh, well, they feel bad when they lose. They feel bad. They feel bad. But they're not necessarily going to lose their starting role, their starting job. If they play poorly 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. But in Europe, in Holland especially, you're going to lose your job. Period. End of story. All right, what else we got? January camp roster releases tomorrow. Oh,
unfortunate timing for us. Always this way. It's always one day after we do our show.
But Brett, seriously, what is there to cover?
Well, it depends on the roster, now, doesn't it?
It does.
Hopefully, the Camp Cupcake is a U23, U20 team.
I guess that's the real thing to cover. If it ends up not being one, then
what a waste. What a waste.
Then we're really in trouble here, and somebody's not thinking over there at U.S. Soccer. Matt Crocker.
Come on.
All right.
Come on, Betty. Come on, Betty.
Betty and Greg.
Yeah. So Derek, I wasn't ready for when you jumped into the Mihailovic topic, but let's go ahead and just keep on going with the transfer news. So I'm gonna hit the button here in 2 seconds.
Well, it never sinks, so I'll try.
You'll do your best.
Transfer news. Everybody else said transfer news, but me.
Yeah, the second transfer news was off slightly, and then
It
all
always
of a
is.
sudden you line right up with it every single time.
Yeah,
Look at me. I failed.
Yeah. Liverpool, oh my God. Oh my God. Are we kidding here?
Maybe.
Liverpool are reportedly keeping tabs on San Jose winger Cal. This is a joke. The young phenom has gotten attention of LAFC as they see him as an eventual successor to Mo Salah. A reported fee is north of $20 million. Bayer Leverkusen have also shown some interest. This is a joke. Because it's Desi, right?
Well, let's check the source. Who's saying it?
Desi Mitch.
No, you even try.
Stupid asshole. I didn't even see that. Stupid asshole.
Oh, yeah.
This is great because, all the rumors are at this point that Cade Cowell is going to Chivas.
Guadalajara.
And he will go there and be the same one-trick pony there until they all figure it out. And then he won't score any goals. He'll score 2 or 3 goals a season, just like he did this year in MLS with all the time he was on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
How many goals? 2? 3? 4?
I said 2 initially. I think B. Martolis is 3.
Yeah. Either way, anybody at Guadalajara excited about this might as well temper their excitement just a bit. Okay.
It's different. Grass is always greener, I guess, except for Mexico, where there's no grass, right?
Right. Exactly. The Mexican American is one of Fernando Hierro's main options for Chivas in the market. Talks have been going on for days. Well, I hope they know what they're getting into, because it's not going to be much different from the other dude that went over there. That's a one-trick pony whose name I can never remember.
Salcedo.
Yeah, thank you. Sebastian Salcedo. And, it took them 1 season to figure out what he does. And now he's a bench warmer, and he barely plays. So there you go. Yes, zero grass in Mexico. Yeah, U.S. men's national team versus haters. San Jose Earthquakes have reached 2 fresh bids for Cade Cowell, one from Liga MX and one from Europa League Club. I'd really like to know which one that is. Europa League Club.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything was all the rumors at that point were predominantly English, were they not? Like back in the day. Say back in the day, like last silly seasons.
The Everton one was always hilarious. I mean, I don't know what people are smoking out there. Are you paying attention to any of these guys in the way they play? To post up things like he's going to Everton? Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things that other teams like in England, like Everton and stuff like that, we're looking at him going like, well, he's got the physical attributes, and I feel like we could mold him the way we need him to be.
No, they weren't.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think they were thinking that at all.
Hey, his one trick, if Prince gives it to him, is solid. It works. It can work.
Yeah,
but it's a good one trick if it works. He needs to figure out and he needs to adapt. And it's fascinating that he had such a poor season. I wouldn't even say poor season. I haven't watched enough San Jose games. No, I'm basing that solely off the stats, so maybe that's wrong. I don't know. Maybe he had a great season, just didn't perform on the.
You mean he didn't do the one thing he's supposed to do, get assists and goals?
Pretty much,
because that's kind of his job as the left winger. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's a left back. I mean, he plays offense. That's his job. Polar, like polar bear or bipolar. So. PSG, Bayern, and Man City are currently in a bidding war for Cowell per Fab. Come on. No way. I'm not buying that.
No, of course not. Polar basically talking about the same point that we're always bringing up.
I know.
It's like, of course those teams are keeping tabs, although not. I would say the teams aren't always keeping tabs.
No, they aren't.
If you're a promising talent, then yeah, they're keeping tabs. But if you're a speedster with one trick, then maybe not.
Liverpool are definitely not keeping tabs. So anyhow, it's a joke. I know you guys are all kidding, but yeah, I mean, they're pulling people fully deluded into believing that Cade Cowell's capable of playing in the Premier League.
It was polar as in polar bear. You're
polar bear. Okay.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next rumor we got going on here. Not even a rumor. This is actual true.
Yeah, this one's done, baby. But it isn't what everybody thought. Everybody thought that Frankfurt were going to buy him and keep him and play him. But what actually happened is they bought him, and then they loaned him back to Nuremberg. So
continue to develop is what they're saying.
Yeah, he's just going to go back to 2 Bundesliga, and play some more games, and hopefully get better. And then eventually, hopefully he becomes really, really, really good, and he can play for us. But he can't become world class, because then he's not going to play for us. He's going to go play for Germany. So we can only hope he gets so good, and then he stops getting any better. Otherwise, he's not going to play for us.
Nuremberg must be looking at this going, fucking hey, we got a boatload of money for a player, and we got him back.
Yeah. Well, when it's smart on Eintracht's part, because they know they're not going to really need him yet. Mm-hmm. And they don't want him sitting on the bench for the rest of the season. So go let him play some more games. Now, if they can figure out a way to loan out Paxton, hopefully they'll do the same thing. But I don't know, and I haven't heard almost zero rumors about Paxton being loaned anywhere.
We had the rumor last week. He was wearing a Salzburg jersey or warm-up jersey, remember?
That would be a fantastic loan. It would. It would be really good. But that's not happening, folks. So nothing on the rumor mill in the German media about it or the local Frankfurt press at all. In fact, it's as if Paxton Aronson doesn't exist. So, is this dude American? He's half American.
Yeah.
He's like me. He's a German-American.
German-American.
A Germerican.
Germerican.
But he's never lived here before. I know it's his father who's the American. I think his father is a serviceman, I believe, and his mother is German. So it's American enough for me.
Hopefully, the side of USSF that reaches out to these kids are reaching out to these kids.
He's not American enough for Donovan, but he's American enough for most people.
Oh, perfect timing, LB says Donovan will be pissed.
Of course he will. I'm so glad I can't read the chat.
That's perfect timing.
Because, I love it when there's synchronicity in the way we're all thinking together. And the reason I don't, by the way, read the chat is because it's distracting for me. Yeah. And I can't focus. I can't read
Derek's got the long-winded rants, and while he's ranting, I'm just combing over to find the next topic on either keep him going on the rant or start the next one. Yeah.
So if there's something you want to say that you want me to read, and Brett's not going to read it because there's lots of chats going on, you got to do the what's it called, the super chat. Yeah. If you really want me to read it, because I'm not looking at the chat. Brett's job, and believe me, he's got plenty of other things to do. He's bringing up the next articles and all that. So if you want to see it, you got to have
all the links ready.
Right. That's my very nice way of saying, give us some money, motherfuckers. All right.
If you don't, we still appreciate you.
We'll do it anyhow. We'll do the show anyhow. It's all right. But Oh, I do want to thank everybody. We are going to try to go through at some point and figure out who the biggest super chat contributors were last year, and we're going to do a whole show thanking you. Not a whole show, but during the show, we're going to thank the biggest super chats peoples. Maybe the top 3 or something. I don't know.
I think we'll have to make a video about it. Do something like as the super chats pop up and everything. We'll like some like sweet like 1980s music going on in the background or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Brett don't do shit. Trust me, he does. He does.
Brett's multitasking.
I mean, I'm not clicking all those fucking tabs and bringing up all the articles we're going to cover for the day. Yeah. If I find one in particular, I'll send it to Brett.
I give him all the info. That's true. When it comes to correcting ourselves on the fly, I do just look for your tag. There's BMR.
BMR. He's just full of soccer stats, man. That dude.
He's the fastest. The other people do stuff too, but I mean, he's the fastest.
Yeah, he's probably the most nimblest on the Wikipedia. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Daniel says Brett for U.S. Men's National Team President. USA. Well, let's go. So changes are going to happen. Oh, what? Did you get the job? Shit.
No changes are happening.
There's somebody had posted. They're like, "Yeah, here are the 3 candidates for vice president or whatever of USSF or whatever." There's some thing, whatever. They're doing an electoral thing. Somebody's losing their gig.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is just a dog and pony show. I already know who they're going to bring in. Come on.
Oh, I'm sure they have. I mean, they're not going to hire sportsology to put them through some sort of 8-hour mental tests, right? They already know who they want. All right, what else we got?
Well, it's time for the Geo report. Let me play the video for Geo report.
Okay.
I don't have the video for that.
All right.
Anyways,
Birdow Keeley.
That's
an interesting name.
Let's see here. Hold on. Let's find out there.
Motivate.
Okay, whatever.
Motivate for your entry into? Motivate for your entry into my cunt? What? Entry into what? This is my question. All right.
That's true. I would move the headquarters to Indiana.
It's true. Gio Reyna, once hailed as a gem in American soccer, still is, has faced a stagnation in his career since joining Dortmund. And that's not really how the narrative worked, but okay. This season, the 21-year-old attacking midfielder has started only once in the Bundesliga and played a mere 20 minutes in the Champions League. Reyna is in need for a fresh destination to rejuvenate his career. That's true.
Great.
According to Goal, several English teams, you're going to go to Goal for your news? No offense to Goal, but I'm not going.
But offense Goal.
I'm going to Transfer Market before I go to Goal. All right. But hey, you read what you want to read. According to Goal, several English teams, including Brentford, have expressed interest in Reyna. The Bees' counter-attacking style provides a promising canvas. This guy writes like he writes for Goal, for American talent to showcase his skills. A move to Brentford could be the catalyst Reyna needs to reignite his career and fulfill the potential that once had him apart in the world of football. Had once set him apart. Listen, there's nothing really wrong with fucking Gio Reyna, because when he plays for the United States, he's doing just dandy.
When he plays for Dortmund, he's dandy. Have you seen the stats?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like in the 90th percentile for everything besides interceptions.
Yeah, I'm not saying Reyna kicked Terzic's dog, but he might have fucked his daughter. I don't know, because something's not right.
Likely.
Yeah, something's not right. Something not right is going on there between those two. We already know that Royce and Terzic don't get along, and maybe Reyna doesn't get along with him either. I don't know, but I'm sure he's being respectful to Terzic. But it's not like he was a part of that group of players that came out to the board with their letter of complaint about Terzic. That was four other players, not him. So,
as far as we know, I brought this up. One, it's a good intro into some of the other Gio tweets I got going on here. But I wanted to show you something here in the comments section.
All right.
So let's see here. A lot of blue check marks. Giving some quotes.
Disappointing to see such a promising talent struggle to reach his potential. Why are they quoting him? Why are they quoting this article instead of having an opinion about it?
Oh, you want to know why?
Why?
Well, let's see. This person right here, Flores. Let's see. He's a stock market indicates, represents, etc., etc. Okay. Well, what about this person? Oh, stock market. Oh, what about this person?
So this is fake news.
Well, I don't know if the actual. I mean, this is definitely somebody's opinion as far as everything's concerned. But
why does he have all these blue check bots supporting his?
Yeah, that's and giving quotes that I have no idea where they came from. It's just kind of funny. I mean, this thing goes on and on and on and on. I've never seen so many blue check marks in a comment section before.
What the fuck is going on?
Oh my god, this was fun.
I find it despicable. All right,
but yeah. So stick with the Gio news.
Jaden Sancho is planned on the wing, but also in the attacking midfielder position.
So Sancho, this is not the one I wanted, but I guess this will work anyways because it's just leading to the fact that Dortmund's getting Sancho again, at least on loan. I
mean, I guess he's got to play somewhere. He's pissed off his manager, and of course, he won't say sorry. Manchester United are a shriveling cock of what they used to be, and he's not exactly been very good when he has played for them. I guess.
Hey, but Dortmund fans are ecstatic; they're stoked.
Well, I hope he plays better. I hope he plays better at Dortmund than he has at Manchester United since he got there. But yeah, I guess it's just another spot that will take away more playing time from Reyna.
Yeah,
who seems to be somewhat pseudo blackballed by Terzic. Terzic the evil. You know,
the aggressor.
What did they used to call Vlad the Impaler? You know, Terzic the Impaler. He needs a bad name. That's all I'm saying. something evil.
Sure.
Borussia Dortmund has entered the race for Kahn Azun of Nuremberg. The club is looking for a new playmaker this summer and a promising successor to Marco Reus for the future.
So what does that sound like? What does that sound like?
That sounds like Reina needs to get the fuck out of Dodge.
That's the exact same post that Derek Ray posted about Reina a few years back.
Yeah.
They're looking for a promising successor to Marco Reus.
So I guess Reina's not it. To Terzic, at least.
Yeah. And then you pile in the fact that Claudio, we talked about this a couple shows back, but Claudio went to Dortmund and started talking to some of the uppers, and so you start piecing it together. They have all these players that are going to be taking time and spots away from Gio in that sense. You have Claudio, who's a big factor as far as Gio's movement. Maybe this is an indication that he will too move this winter.
Not that
very minimum summer.
Not that Nuremberg kid's going to work out, and not that Sancho is going to, go back to the way he was before. But if they both do work out, that's another reason for Reina to just get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think all signs indicate that he's leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, you got rid of your agent. Your dad is doing some negotiating for you, and now, I mean, Dortmund's always going to be looking for some new young hotness. They're always going to do it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this kid from Nuremberg is going to be the face 2 years from now. Not necessarily right now, and Gio doesn't have to worry about it, but it could be. I mean, Gio was starting almost the entire season at the age of 17.
Yep.
So it's always possible, but I think all signs indicate that he is out.
Yeah, something has gone amiss between he and Terzic. Also, Terzic has changed the way he plays. I guess he has been mentally damaged from their loss last season, that basically they just handed over the Bundesliga title to Bayern. Maybe he just can't get over it. Yeah, because they play so much more conservatively now. I mean, I never thought I'd say that about a Dortmund team, but they play conservatively.
Wow, dude, it is fascinating how on par everybody is with you. Now, remember, guys, you have about a 7-second delay from where we're at live, and this is popping up at the same time Derek is saying that. Things happen.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, now. So that's both good news and I guess bad. I mean, I would love to have seen Reina become the face for Dortmund and have great seasons, win a league for a change.
Can I just say that I'm sick of hearing people on Twitter and X say, maybe you stupid fuckers should wake up and just realize he's really not that good of a player. Like, I don't want to hear that. Maybe you should wake up and stop being such a fucking idiot. That's what I would say to you.
And I had one recently where they talked about that. That's it. They joke about NPCs and stuff like that. And these are actual people, but they say the same fucking shit. And it is fascinating to watch.
Yeah, and it's like, are you watching the games he does get to play? Did you watch the end of last season and the games he got to play?
Yeah.
Did you watch him just almost single-handedly destroy Mexico? That wasn't even that long ago. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, he's too injury prone. No, he's not. He's not. He just had his fucking leg broken. For Christ's sake, that is not injury prone. That's somebody breaking your fucking leg. Do you not know that you can't really do anything about that? Someone snaps your leg in half, that's on them.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought the guy got a card for that. Did he get a card for that? I believe he did. I don't know.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay. Daniel, my brother. All right. Apparently, Terzic is upset with Gio because Gio unsubscribed to his wife's OnlyFans. I really think
allegedly
got to be deeper than that. I think he might be stooping his fucking wife, honestly.
Yeah, why pay for the milk when you can get it for free?
Yeah.
I think that's how the phrase goes, right?
I don't know. That's not one of those Americanism things I know anything about.
Why buy the milk when you can get it for free? Something along those lines. I'm pretty sure it's that. I'm pretty sure it is that.
Is this reference to breasts? Breast milk?
It's all about fucking, right?
Oh, okay. It's more metaphoric. I'm being too literal.
Yeah.
I need a glass of milk. Oh, I know why. I'll just go over to Turzik's wife's house.
She just gave birth.
I'll just milk her. Just milk her a little.
Milk anything with nipples, fucker.
Free milk. Derek taking things too literally. All right. Maybe he did. He busted through the door. What are you doing to my wife? I'm milking her for some milk.
Mm.
I don't know.
Well, let's get to the big news of the week, right? Let's talk about them.
We got to make a meme about that, right? So it's Turzik
about
coming through the door, and then Turzik's wife is sort of laying flat on this plank that has holes cut in it, so her breast can sag through the holes, and you got Raina underneath her just going quick, into a bowl, right into a little milk bowl.
Yeah.
And he's saying, what are you doing to my wife? Children. What are you doing to my wife? Well, obviously I'm milking her. What do you think I'm doing? Jesus. All right.
Anybody think of the children?
All right. Tom Bogert at joint, my friend. Breaking. FC Cincinnati has signed U.S. men's national team center back Miles Robinson per Switzerland's best free agent on the market. Chooses the reigning Supporters Shield winners. Huge deal. Huge deal? I don't know about huge deal. I mean, it is for Cincinnati, I guess. Robinson, 26, has 27 caps with the U.S. men's national team, but spent his whole career with Atlanta United. Yeah, this is all about the Benjamins, baby.
All about the monies.
But it's only 1 year, Brett. Didn't you find that a little weird? A 1 year contract?
What?
Yeah.
I was not aware that was a 1 year contract.
1 year. So either he just wants to get paid for 1 year and then he'll go to Europe, or I don't know. You very rarely hear about 1 year deals like this. Not with a guy who's been a standard bearer center back for another team and voted multiple times as one of the best defenders in the league. You'd think they just buy his ass for 3 years on a 3 year contract.
That whole 1 year thing is brand new to me. I was unaware of that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird deal. That's all I got to say. But hey, get paid. That's fine. It's not.
I guess that's strange on its own front for Cincy.
It is.
You're paying DP money basically for a center back for 1 year. And maybe they're looking at it like, well, we're going to be in Champions League, and we want to go far. We want to shore up our defense. Whatever, X, Y, and Z.
Well, they're going to have Matt Miazga, who's arguably the next best center back in MLS, American one, playing right next to him. I mean, that's a pretty good pairing of center backs, because that's usually not what MLS teams focus on. They don't focus on building great defense. They just make sure all their DP, TAM, GAM money's usually spent on offensive players. So, it's surprising.
They're confident with their attack, and they won the league, so fuck it.
I mean, they just lost Vasquez to.
But I mean, as of last show, Derek, you were saying about how horrible of a season he had. So maybe no harm, no foul. We'll get to him in a second, but
it wasn't a good season for him. It's not Miles before the injury kind of season. That was a better season. After the injury, Miles has just been a little off. And, I don't know. Atlanta did not have the best of seasons either. So, could be the whole team stinks. He stunk along with them. I don't know. Because we're used to seeing Atlanta challenging for, the top. That hasn't been the case for a little while. So,
yeah. No, I mean, I guess at that point, if you're a free agent and you can make, this is the same argument I made whenever Mbappe got offered that like $1 billion for one season.
Yeah,
and I was sitting there like, we both obviously he's got fuck you money anyways, but I'm looking at it like, okay, well let's just say if he did that one season, got his $1 billion, and then went right to Real Madrid, is that really going to affect his career in the slightest?
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine.
Not really.
So, I mean, that's why I was like, man, for $1 billion, fuck it, I'll go play for a year. You know, same thing here, I guess. If it's only for a year, and I have no idea if it is, you're the first person to mention that to me.
Do you think he's going to get paid $1 million? Do we know how much they're paying for him? Because I didn't see Tom put out the fee.
There'd be, I mean, he has to make bank, right? Has to make bank. Anybody in the chat know what he's making in this transfer? Because
I don't think it's been published.
Man, I feel like if you're going to spend a year here, why? What about it? It's not like it's a World Cup year. It's Cup year. Okay, I get it.
Well, okay. Here's the other theory. He plays Cincinnati for a season, but then the year before the World Cup, he goes and plays abroad to make sure he makes the team. Like, he doesn't want to sign 3 years or 2 years because that's getting too close to the World Cup, right?
Well, I mean, I understand why it's just the 1 year for that front, but I'm just saying why even spend the 1 year in Cincy outside of making bank?
Yeah.
I mean, if your concern is the World Cup, then at that point, get your ass to Europe now and start working your way through a team. Because it's not going to be instant. If he goes to Europe, especially as a free agent, he's going to be riding pine initially, and he'll have to fight for his spot.
I mean, that's certainly what happened to Trusty. That's certainly what happened to Kenzie. Miazga's first loan season started right away, but that was to Vitesse, and then he got right off the bus and was a starter for was it QPR? Anyhow, so I guess it can happen. And if you're putting him up there at the Miazga level, then he could go start right away for a championship team, you would think.
I don't think so.
Because that's what Matt was a starter for Reading right away, I believe. So.
Well, yeah, he got loaned from Chelsea and all that stuff. But I'm just saying, if he's going to a championship team on the free, my guess is he's probably going to be starting on the bench because nobody has to invest in him at that point outside of what they're paying him on a weekly basis.
So Robinson earned $1.4 million in 2023. He's got to be making more than that in 2024 for one season at Cincy. He's got to be. And we'll find out when it gets when it gets published, because they have to publish it because of the rules. So we'll see. But Max Breto's saying, "Oh well, you all."
I didn't pull up his because I wasn't sure if we were going to bring him up.
Yeah,
I like Max, and I don't want to dogpile.
No, I mean, I'm not dogpiling on him. I was on his show. Max and I we're all right with each other, but. Saying, well, okay, you guys would have been happy if you went to Excelsior. Well, again, that's assuming that's as good of a team he could have played on, which I would be surprised if Excelsior would be the only offer he would get in, from, let's say, Holland/Belgium. There would be some teams that probably would make an offer too, not Genk, obviously. But it would be one of the top teams, I would suspect, in Belgium, and it probably be one of the top 6 teams in Holland too, and or a championship team. So I don't think that's what people are saying. People aren't saying, oh, he should have just played for any shitty 4th division team. Although there was one dumbass who said that.
He's like, if 4th division Belgium came calling, then he should go anyways. And it's I don't think it's literal. I don't think he was being serious about that. I think he was basically saying, hey, do what you can do to get to Europe, period. If you're playing for a bottom table Holland or championship team, get there and start performing. And
I'm not a fan of that kind of exaggeration, Brett, because it does make us look like idiots, or some of the people who are telling him to go over. Nobody thinks he should go play 4th or 3rd or even 2nd division in Holland or Belgium.
No.
Or even in League One in England. We all have higher expectations of this player. And we think Miles can probably compete, and then after 1 or 2 seasons, one really good season, let's say he goes to Excelsior and they finish in the top 6, and he's one of the main reasons they did so. Well, then you go to the championship and make boku bucks and go start as a center back somewhere in the championship. I don't know. You can make a lot more money in Europe.
Say eventually, yes, because I was going to say the average pay. And this isn't including, obviously, the people who are making the top teams that have players that make more. But the average pay in championship is something along the lines of about 800,000.
Right.
Now, that indicates, if that's the average, that there are players making less than that. There are players making more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a whole, that's the average. But the idea behind going there is obviously that you're going to move up in the world.
Yeah, Spectre played for years in the championship. And he stayed there, and he said specifically, I didn't come to MLS because I was making a lot of fucking money playing the championship. A lot.
That's the thing. Though. If the average pay is $800, let's just say he was making less than the average. Let's just say he was making $500, $600. How much do you think he'd get if he moved over to MLS?
Yeah, I mean, if
you think he'd crack six figure?
I mean, it's quite possible that his offers were in that 700, 800. It's possible that's where the offers he was getting. And he just said, no, I'm going to go make 2.5 million or 1.8 million for one season at Cincy and make sure my family's taken care of. Then I'll think about coming to go to Europe. But I'm going to go make my mills first before I start getting paid $700,000 a season playing for a championship team. It's very possible. And I'm not blaming this guy.
Yeah.
And people are saying like, this is it. I mean, I get it. He's 25, 26 years old, but he's still got time. Defenders can play well into their early 30s. If you're Tim Ream, you're playing until your late 30s.
Well, yeah, and again, I think the indication most people have is that he signed a new MLS, the 3+2 contract with Cincy. You're saying though that it's a 1-year contract.
It's 1 year. That's all I've heard.
I guess I've never really heard anything. I just assumed. But yeah, that's probably why most people are probably saying, well, he's done then. He's done. 1 year wouldn't matter. I mean, one year is 26 and 27 for him.
Yeah, he's just making the 1 year is so he can make his change. And then, and when I say change, I mean his cash. And then he'll go look again. Although somebody else quoted, can't remember who it was on CBS Sports, said that, God, who is this
guy? I'm coming up here in just a second.
And he said that really, as far as he understands it, Miles Robinson has no interest in going to Europe. Ever.
Oh, I did not have that. Sorry, no.
Yeah, that was on Scalazzo, I believe, today. And I don't remember the guy's name. Or maybe it was yesterday. And I was like, wow, really? Wow. Okay. Well, in that case, maybe there is no plan. Reno says this meme that center backs develop late is just that, a meme. Nobody's.
I don't think I brought this up because this is a great point, just too. Because this is one of the talking points on the other side. I hate dividing the group here, but it really is sort of an MLS versus everybody else type thing. The people are like, well, you guys just think that him going to Europe is going to magically make him a better defender. And I'm like, no, it's going to make him sharper. And that's about it.
Wiser.
He might slightly get better on the pitch. But
technically, he's not going to get any better than this.
Yeah.
This is probably as good as he's going to get. But he can get wiser, as you said, and he can understand the game better. Like where to position himself better. Because that's one of his problems. Because he, as fast as he is, he still gets burned.
He's heavily reliant on his recovery speed.
Right. He still gets burned because of his bad positioning. He won't be allowed to have bad positioning if he goes over there. They will make sure he's in the right spot every fucking game. Just look at Trusty now. Look how he has evolved in this season with Sheffield United since he's become a starter. Like, that dude's never in the wrong spot. Okay, never is a little extreme. But he seems to have really figured out where his ass needs to be, depending on where the ball is on the pitch. And he's never really out of whack for Sheffield United. So, although there is the argument, and yes, it's an exception. You are right. But Tim Ream didn't get better technically. He's not better technically than he was 5 years ago. You know what he is? He's wiser. He's smarter. He's learned positioning down to a T. He has learned and those kind of things improve your overall game. His soccer IQ's through the roof now. That's the only way he can continue to play in the EPL at his age. Trust me.
Well, that's just like the talk with Turner. I mean, Turner picked up the game too late. He's never going to be a magician with the ball at his feet, regardless of how much he practices at it. He might marginally get better. He may get a little more confident, but as a whole, he is who he is in this place. So.
Right. You're not going to, at this age, you're not going to get technically better. And anybody that thinks you can suddenly get technically better in your middle 20s just doesn't know a whole lot about how players develop.
I mean, when you're playing at that high of a level, a lot of it's just muscle memory. It's just like your body just reacts, Right. There's definitely some mental aspect of like knowing where you need to be and how to move and where to go and when to cut. But I mean, like the ability to do a cut, you can practice that all you want. But in the heat of the game, and you have a guy that's pounding you from behind. I mean, you're not just magically going to start doing that.
No, because if you're getting pounded in the behind,
why would you cut it? First off, that's the mental part, right?
Right. So, but I am not discounting that you cannot get better.
Sure.
And become more wiser in that sense. Become a better, higher IQ soccer player. You can do that, and that will help your lack of or whatever you've got technically to look a whole lot better on the pitch. And so he could improve, but he's never going to improve technically. He will improve in other ways by going to Europe even at this late stage. So, all right.
And going on from what he was saying earlier, it's like you all have to look at the fact: wrong side of 25, ACL injury, bad performances for ATL in 2023. He ain't a hot market commodity.
No, I agree.
That's true, but he's free.
But he is free. So people got to remember that, Brett. This is a great point, right? You're free. Nobody's got to pay anything but your salary, dude. You're not paying any team anything, nothing. So you would have thought there would have been some suitors, because here's a guy who's playing on the U.S. men's national team over guys like Trusty, who don't get called up at all. Yet Trusty, I get it, he's with the worst team in the EPL, but he's in the fucking EPL. And if Trusty, who can't get called up for the U.S. men's national team, can hack it at a shitty team in England, probably a championship level team, that's what Sheffield United are, then so you would think should be able Miles Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Well,
again, math doesn't always work that way, but yes.
What does this indicate, though? This indicates that the offers abroad, who are just going to be paying your salary, weren't paying that much.
Weren't offering much.
Hey, there's probably, I guarantee there's interest. I mean, PSV were interested. This talks about that. Ernie even publicly stated that they're really going to be interested in possibly looking to place a bid. Not even place a bid, but just throw our name in that, So, but how much would he have made at PSV versus how much he's making at Cincy? I mean, somebody was talking about the transfer regulation in MLS, or whatever. You can only make as much as the max GAM TAM compared to if you sign a new contract. So maybe the issue is, he wasn't transferring. That's a weird thing. But changing teams, I guess, is considered a transfer. But maybe this 1 year, so that way they can renegotiate a new contract for more money the following years for a new 3+2, which indicates, to your point, maybe he has no interest in going abroad.
Yeah, I think in the end, if the report I saw on Golazo by an actual real reporter, which you can't always trust just because they work for somebody and they have to write articles, is that he really doesn't have any real interest in going to Europe and never has. I've never heard him say it publicly. I mean, we always heard the guys that want to go. Vasquez been saying, I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Europe. I've never heard those come to that point. Never heard those words come out of Miles Robinson's mouth before. And if he has, let me know.
Even with the Europe transfer rumors swirling over him, I never heard once that he was like, "Oh man, I can't wait for the season to end. Hopefully, we get an MLS Cup." But I'm, 1 foot out the door at this point.
I'm really looking forward. I really want to test myself abroad. That's what Vasquez has been saying.
Yeah,
but you haven't heard that from Miles. Okay, that's enough, Miles.
No. We have so much more to talk about with Miles.
Why? We covered it.
Derek, we have to address the elephant in the room when it comes to these topics.
Like what?
Well, I'll show you like what.
It must be a small elephant. Oh, Jesse Marsh.
Here's Jesse Marsh. She says, hey, the Miles Robinson move to MLS FC Cincinnati is a bit of a shame.
That's small. That's a bit of a shame. That's not even a full shame. It's just a bit of one. So this is light.
That sucks. He should have challenged himself, is what he's saying.
It's not even criticism.
No, it's not. But you know what, though? People ran with this stuff.
Of course they did. They're idiots.
They're like, hey, what the fuck does Jesse know? Here's one of them.
Oh, yeah. I forget where. Let me read it like he wrote it. I forgot. Where's Jesse coaching right now? What the fuck does that have to do with the price of bread? That makes no sense. What correlation
Derek, where are you coaching? Where are you coaching at currently? How do you have an opinion about this whole move. Come on.
Yeah, I'm coaching my fucking nutsack. How's that? That's good enough for me. And it should be good enough for Kevin Wallace too. Like, what does he need? What credentials does Jesse Marsh need to be fucking managing Man United to have a fucking opinion on this? Yeah. Jesse Marsh is a huge Miles Robinson fan. I mean, by the way.
Kevin's a big FC Cincy guy. I think he does stuff like as a podcast or something. Yeah, postcast.
He's a father and a husband. I love when people put that. So am I, but it's not on my goddamn list of things I'm going to say I am on Twitter.
But
congratulations, you're a father and a husband.
Let's just shit can every pundit out there who has an opinion on that you don't agree with, right?
Apparently Kevin Wallace needs credentials, active credentials.
When Henri was bashing Pulisic,
when's the team he was?
Where's Henri coaching at?
When's the last time he kicked a soccer ball?
Yeah, so that was my whole take. Was like, dude, his coaching credentials have nothing to do with anything.
Man, this is definitely not an elephant in the room. This is just
the elephant in the room is it's funny that when these topics come up, all of a sudden you have people who are huge, like big into MLS and not the quote unquote Euro snobs. They're the what would be deemed as the MLS shills per se in a sense. I don't typically use that phrase.
I don't either.
There are MLS shills out there, 100%. We talked about Doyle, who is in fact paid by MLS. Of course, he's going to chill the shit. Anybody paid by the league is going to show. Anybody who's not paid by the league that quote unquote shows it is just a fanatic of the league.
I don't know.
Or a team of the league.
I mean, you can call them fanatics. I call them numbskulls.
Well, that's true.
I mean, you got it. I mean, listen. I think we're like one of the most balanced shows out. I really think we're fair to MLS, and I think we're fair to the players. I think we've been very fair to Miles. We're not sitting here lighting his ass up. All right.
We both agreed. We said, hey, I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
he did it for the monies. That's fine. He perfectly did it. We both also mentioned he's still in contention. Even at MLS, he's going to be in contention.
Yes.
One, because Greg likes him, but two, I mean, at that point, you're talking about the difference between EPB and McKenzie and him.
Like, we don't live in a world of zeros and ones.
Yeah.
I mean, life has nuance. Unless you live inside your computer, then you live in a world of zeros and ones, and everything's black and white to you. And that's we live in. I mean, that's the worst experience I've had over the last 2 or 3 days. Being on Twitter is just full of fucking people with no nuance whatsoever. It's just pathetic. All right.
Well, LB says you have not been fair to Aaron Long. He rocks.
he rocks his own cock late at night. I can tell you that's what his girlfriend. She texts me. He's really good at that. But I don't know about soccer anymore. And again, we were fair to him. When he had the injury and he came back, we didn't say, oh, Aaron Long, he was always awful. No, we said at one point, Aaron Long was a fairly athletic and fast defender. Well, you don't have that anymore. Not since the injuries. I mean, that's gone. He can't cut like he used to either. So, I mean, why carry around a player like that on the U.S. men's national team just because he gives good reach arounds to Greg? Seriously, why? Why are you on the team? U.S. men's national team Twitter. Players should challenge themselves. Miles Robinson. This was we can't do this one. Miles Robinson literally signs in the league with reigning Ballon d'Or winner. Not like that, says the U.S. men's national team. But this guy was yanking everyone's chain. He doesn't really believe this. That's the thing. Because I had if you look inside some of the other things, he and his friend are laughing because they were able to yank everyone's chain. So that's why I wrote him and said, don't waste your time and breath on this guy. He's just trolling you. He doesn't even he doesn't believe this.
He keeps on trolling.
Yeah. He's just trolling. This guy was not here to have a discussion. This is not what this guy really believes. Thank God. Because he makes other good points in other posts. So he's not a complete idiot. And he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. No, it's
he's yanking chains.
Yeah. Pretty much. But it's still it's like you realize that you can get the interactions by trolling, and there's definitely obviously community as far as the getting it off with trolling. I mean, I always bring up Alex. Alex is great. He trolls all the fucking time. I dig all of his trolls.
Well,
there's definitely mentality of people who see one, not only the people who are out there not trolling that this thought process, but then they see the reaction that they get and they're like, yeah, I'll go ahead and wind these little fucks up.
well, here's my thing. If I'm Mitch Howe, and that is in fact my real name, do I really want to be known on X as the biggest fucking half-wit bad cake person ever? Because that's what a lot of people are going to read, and they don't know who you are, Mitch. They don't know you're joking, and they're going to think you're an idiot. I mean, if you're okay with that, that's fine. But obviously you make other good posts, but no one's going to know that if they just met you and this is the first thing they read from you. They're going to think you're a fucking half-wit. That's why I don't troll like this, because I think, well, I guess it gets you the hits, but
half of my Twitter feed is me scrolling through a bunch of people who are biting at the trolls.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like,
even Pete bid on this one. I think
nobody.
Pete and Tack both bid on this one, and that's why I posted there. Do not bother wasting your time, your steam, because this is a troll. It's obviously a troll.
Since we're talking about trolls, I'm gonna find out which one. Hold on 1 second.
You got more trolls.
Where did it? Okay.
While you're doing that, just want to say, Weah scored a golazo today.
Oh yeah,
that was. I mean, the only thing was they were already up. I think 4-1 when it happened. Can't remember.
5-1. 5-1. Yeah, 5-1.
Might have been 5-1. But boy, what a beauty of a goal! And it was great to see all his teammates just excited for him. And for those of you worried because McKennie didn't play at all, this is a Copa game. They played a lot of guys that don't often start in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just giving McKennie a breather. And he deserves it, by the way. He's played 90 after 90 after 90 after 90.
So I bring this up. U.S. men's national team reports post the U.S. men's national team goals and assist leaders.
Okay.
And we could just scroll through and find out. He goes all the way down to players who have like one goal. And I wonder how much in depth he goes, because I'm sure there's a bunch of like third division, Bundesliga people who have like U.S. players that have one goal that nobody talks about. I mean, I brought this up because somebody had deleted or hidden the post for some reason. I'm not sure why, so I can't tell what the context of that was. But this cat right here, this Letty cat.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget, Christian Roldan will also suit up for the Club World Cup. Atencio and Ragantul too, but U.S. men's national team slobs won't accept it. What?
Continue. It gets better. So
no one gives a shit. MLS lifers are a thing of the past. The sooner you accept this, expect this. Oh, okay. The better. Morris and Roldan have arguably done more for the national team than anyone else currently on the squad. Oh my God! All right, troll alert.
That's the thing. That's the thing. People have to recognize this. I'm not saying there aren't dumb people on Twitter. There are certainly dumb people on Twitter.
But this dumb?
That's something. This is absolutely a troll.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I mean, he's not even. His name is Letty. Lettii. What is that? Finnish? He's probably somewhere in Helsinki having a good laugh.
Yeah. So I will pull up somebody who's a friend of a lot of people in the chat that was not trolling you. And I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying that I have no problem with this guy. We have great conversations on Twitter from time to time. I don't always agree with his points. He doesn't always agree with my points. Whatever. But
dude, this
Derek
is stalker dad.
Yeah, Derek had a fun.
Hey, I didn't call him any names.
Here we go.
All right.
You called him a hypocrite.
I did call him a hypocrite because he is one. Dude, Brooks is trash, and it has nothing to do with Greg. I didn't mention anything necessarily that. How does Brooks bring?
Hold on.
Anyhow,
you mentioned how we can't make peace with Brooks, and that's how he got started. Because we're talking about center backs who can't do certain aspects of the game.
Oh, there. And he doesn't. So he starts off by saying he doesn't like blanket statements. Black and white blanket statements. And then he does it. He basically ends up calling Brooks trash.
Well, he literally does say yes.
Brooks is trash. How is a motherfucker playing for the 7th place team at Hoffenheim? If he was trash, he would not be playing. And then he's like, oh, well, he got benched. Okay, for poor play. That is not what Matarazzo said. Matarazzo never said, I looked at all the German papers. He did not get benched for poor play. All right? Maybe if he did, but it's a secret because Matarazzo never said why he got benched. But so what? He's missed 2 games this season. Big fucking deal.
Didn't we talk about, and this may have been a thought of yours, but didn't you mention how when Matarazzo plays a specific style, Brooks doesn't start? But that happens very, like when they play like a high press or something like that, he doesn't start.
Yeah, when they play a higher line. Yeah. So that could be it, but I was just theorizing.
Thank you for bringing that up too, because then they would have gone, well, that's why he's not brought in by Berhalter.
But we don't play that high of a line anymore either. I don't know if anybody noticed, but since Tim Ream's been playing for us, we don't play a super high line.
We actually do get into this. I forgot. This is why this is in my mind.
The centerpiece defender, he says, that was benched last month for poor play. Again, there's no way this dude knows that for sure. Nobody knows. There's no publication that came out that say he got benched for poor play, and he's started. That's amazing because he started the next game right after he got benched. Boy, that really showed him. Learned the difference between a blanket statement and one thing covering a bunch of players versus an observation about one player. No. Calling John Brooks trash is a blanket statement. That's you not being able to recognize what positive things he brings to the table. Calling him trash doesn't recognize anything about John Brooks that could be beneficial to the U.S. men's national team. Brooks is awful. Deal with it. Your take is awful. Listen, you don't get to start for a 7th place team in the Bundesliga at center back if you're awful and you're trash. It just doesn't happen. So, do you think Miles could start for Hoffenheim right now? Miles Robinson right now is start for Hoffenheim? No, I don't think so.
So I didn't read all these, and I was reading this while you were talking. But I find it funny his comment here. He goes, also, Hoffenheim isn't a top Bundesliga team. They're roughly a mid-table. They've also allowed more goals than 8 of the 9 other top 10 teams. Well, that would indicate that they're a mid-table team, which is what he said.
It's ridiculous. And I guess 7th isn't high enough. 7th isn't high enough. I mean, to me, if you're fighting for a top 8 spot, top 6 spot, let's say, we'll be kind. If you're fighting for a top 6 spot, and those top 6 spots go play in European, they don't all get to go to the Champions League, but you're going to go play European football, then I'd say that makes you one of the top teams in the league. It's not like they're 8th or 9th or 10th. They're fighting for 6th and 5th. And I don't know how much more higher they need to be a top Bundesliga team for this dude. I don't know. Guess we all have different standards.
Well, I mean,
but to call him trash is a trash take. That's somebody who obviously has not watched maybe but 1 or 2 fucking Hoffenheim games all season long. And that's being generous because if you watched the games, he's not trash. And he is, in fact, the centerpiece of that back line. He's the one telling people where to go. He's the one waving, hey, you need to get back. You need to go up. He's calling the shots back there. Ain't the goalkeeper.
So Derek, Hoffenheim has allowed 30 goals so far this season. They have 24 points, and Frankfurt has 24 points, and they're technically one place above. They're in 6th. They've only allowed 20 goals in. What does that indicate? If you have the same amount of points, but you've allowed more goals in, wouldn't that just tell you that you had a couple of really bad games?
Yes.
That maybe you're playing Bayern, maybe you're playing the other Bayern, and maybe maybe you leaked in 4 or 5 goals.
Like
Maybe that was a bad game by all players, including Brooks. It's possible. But they're in 7th place.
Yeah, you cannot deny they are in 7th place, and you do not call a starting center back for the 7th place team in Bundesliga trash. And anybody who thinks a starting center back for the 7th place team in fucking Bundesliga is trash don't know ball, period. Or you just have a really shitty opinion about John Brooks that is based on something personal. And for this guy, I think it is personal because he knows that Brooks and Greg don't get along. And this guy is a regular defender of Greg Ball and Greg Berhalter. And if Greg don't like him, then he don't like him. And he wants to be able to justify Greg's decision to leave this guy out time after time after time by saying he's trash. That's just false. That's a trash take. Trash take by somebody who hasn't paid enough attention to the Bundesliga this season and watched enough Hoffenheim games. That's it. Period. Yeah. Giovanni Corona for $5. Thank you for the super chat, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Emi Martinez won the World Cup while playing for Aston Villa. Okay. I'm not sure where to go with that, Brett. I mean, I read it, but I don't know what to do with it.
Giovanni, if you want to comment and give us a little more context of that,
clarify.
We'd love to comment more on it.
Yeah, we'd love to, but I mean, I don't know what to say about it. So
was Villa in championship at the time? Were we possibly talking about? I don't know.
I mean, is this the last World Cup? We're talking about Argentina winning it, and he played for us because I don't really know.
Okay, maybe this is what he's referring to.
Maybe because Villa was 7th in the EPL last season. I don't know. But if you play center back for the 7th best team in the EPL, you probably are not trash. You might have your faults. You might not be the best player in the league, but you're probably not trash. I wouldn't even necessarily, I know this is going to be, I wouldn't even.
So he basically, he's just saying that Villa is also mid-table in 7th place, but you had a World Cup winner on the team.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get.
I got you now. We had to sit there and piece it together. I know that obviously you're also whenever you do the super chats, you're also it's a strict character limit, and maybe people couldn't necessarily expand upon that in that detail. But it's a weird argument to make. I mean, he's a consistent player and he's had more good games than bad games. No, we're not sitting here saying that Brooks has only had great games. He's had stinkers. He's had stinkers. He does call. There are blunders.
Yes.
The same thing. Scally's had some blunders from time to time too at Gladbach.
And when Brooks has made mistakes, during my weekly reports, my Yanks Abroad report, I let you know he gave it away. He had a horrible error, and he was responsible for the goal. He fucked up. And it didn't happen. That was like 6 or 7 games ago. He had a huge flub.
Yeah.
And it led to a goal. But to call him trash, that's what I don't like. Like, did I say that Miles Robinson was trash? I could have came right back and said, well, you're wrong. Miles Robinson's the trash player. But that's why we live in this black and white world. And he is just throwing making a blanket statement about a player without looking at the player's full his skills, his skill set, and what he would bring if Tim Ream gets too old to this team. And we've talked about it here at length, so I'm not going to do it again. But switching fields is really important in Greg's system. That's all I got to say. And nobody else can do it. Nobody else can do it but Tim Ream. That's why Tim Ream gets the ball. Every time we're taking the ball out of the back, who gets the ball? Tim Ream. Well, who else can do it? Nobody else.
Well, we're talking about, they've got 30 goals this season at 7th, and it's not great, looking at the top 10 teams, of course. But the same thing can be said when talking about Josh Sargent's time at Werder Bremen. We talked about this last show. Yeah, that team sucked, and he was the leading goal scorer at 7 goals. And if you're looking at a striker who has 7 goals in the season, you're going to go, well, that wasn't a great season. Oh, God. But if you watch the actual games, he had a great season. It's just he's playing for a shit side.
Yeah. I mean, Brooks' distribution from the back this season for Hoffenheim has been exquisite. And yes, he's not the most fleet of foot, but either is Tim Ream, and both of them have to make up for that by being wise. There you go.
So Sarge had 7 goals all comp, and I think there were only 2 in the cup games. But it was still the same number of goals as the other striker at the time.
Right.
It was still 7 goals.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Larry goes on to saying cups don't count. Well, absolutely do count. Anytime you're looking at a player's overall stats, you're taking cup games into consideration.
Yeah, I guess maybe he would say, well, some of those cup games were against third division.
It happens across the board when you look at stats for everybody.
But Larry, keep in mind, Brett's an ex-striker, and he didn't fucking give a shit.
Goals
goals count as far as Brett's concerned.
We did miss one of the talking points because we were talking about Miles going to Cincy. I wanted to bring this one up too. I must have had this out of place in my lineup here, but
he's got to be competing for both domestic and continental titles at Cincy. Y'all would be rejoicing if he went to mid-table Belgian side that would be curb stomped by Cincinnati, but because he stays in MLS, he's trash. Again, yeah, I don't like the trash comments because I don't think anybody's called him trash that I can find so far. Nonsensical takes, as always, in U.S. men's national team Twitter. I mean, yes, Brett was a striker.
Yeah.
I was the midfielder. All right, so I don't understand because I have yet to see anybody call him trash. I've only seen people on U.S. men's national team Twitter, if you want to call that a universe, say they're disappointed. They thought he could do better. They were hoping he would go to a championship side or one of the top teams in Holland. Nobody was saying he's trash. That's why we can't have a fucking conversation. Because people exaggerate the fuck out of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't give a fuck about his continental and domestic titles, honestly. It's Cincy. I hope he wins it all. Good for him.
Is this a I don't know, I guess a snide comment towards how people might address McKenzie over Miles in this situation?
Well, obviously McKenzie is not rated by Greg over Miles.
Yeah, but I would think that most people, if you asked on Twitter who's better, Miles or McKenzie, I would think most people are probably going to think McKenzie.
I'd say they're pretty equal.
I think they're pretty equal.
So I don't necessarily think that going to Belgium is really – it's boosted McKenzie's stock a bit and got him into the conversation of getting call-ups. But obviously it is – if he were the best defender on Genk or one of the best defenders in Belgium, like no doubt about it, that would really make a strong statement. But I'm not sure if he's even the best center back on his team. And I don't think he's anywhere near being best center back in Belgium. And those are things he would have to do. Now, that first season where he was there, got regular time, where Genk were in the top of the table all season, he played really well, I thought.
Yeah.
But he's had some shaky minutes since. So, and he's kind of on and off again as a starter. More on than off, but still, you see him not play on occasion. You're like, why the fuck? And he's on the bench. You're like, oh, why didn't they play him? He's healthy. He's on the bench. I don't get it.
Giving him a rest, rotating players in. I don't know. I don't follow the team.
God,
I can't add into that. I can only assume.
It's too much black and white going on here.
But
I can't even say on both sides because this guy, Hunter Parker, is freaking out and calling out everyone on U.S. men's national team Twitter is nonsensical when I have not read any nonsensical shit except for the one guy who said he should go play in the 4th division in Belgium, which was a joke.
Yeah.
I have never anybody calling
quite the
out.
exaggeration.
Yeah, I have never heard anybody call Miles Robinson trash.
Well,
I just think that people
I
had expectations. Well, if you have, those people they're out of line. He's not trash. That's why we get into it. That dude called Brooks trash, and other people calling Miles trash. There's no need to use the word trash. It's stupid. Neither of them are trash.
I think when most people use the term trash in this scenario, they're tired of explaining things, talking about how Miles is limited in X, Y, and Z, and his only strength is this and this and this. They're just like, we got better options. He's trash. I think that's basically what people do, and I think that goes across the board. I think Soccer Dad absolutely has, over the course of time, explained why he doesn't rate Brooks for X, Y, and Z reason, and my guess is he's probably gotten tired of it over time and just started saying, he's trash. We got better options. You may not agree with him, but I don't think he's flat. I don't think you necessarily can say any player that's a professional player is garbage. They're just not there.
I would just say to him, you don't know where I'm from, dog. You can call him trash to other people. Don't call him trash to me.
There you go. Brett was right. It's semantics.
I guess. I'm sorry, but I read it and I think, well, that's rather simplistic.
Well, what happens with that in the sense, how many times can you repeat the same opinion over and over again, or even providing the reasons why you feel that way? And at some point, you're just like, I don't have time for this. He's garbage. Get rid of him.
Well, so who's trash? Trash. Did you watch Gold Cup? Oh, you're talking about Miles?
Oh, Miles.
Hey, no one's saying he's had a good last season or he had a good Gold Cup, because he hasn't. But we've all seen him play better than this. I've seen him.
It was also pre-injury, though.
It was pre-injury, so maybe he isn't as good anymore. Maybe he will never come back to pre-injury Miles. I don't know. Just never got back to where he was before.
Again, that might be another issue here as far as why he picks Cincy and maybe wants to negotiate and has no interest going to Europe, is maybe his confidence is shook from that injury. We've talked about that before. You get specific injuries, and that weighs on your mind more so than your actual physical ability to do stuff.
Right. But
you're going to make that cut, and all of a sudden you're like,
I'm not going to call him trash, but I will point out where his shortcomings are, and I have on this show. And we pointed out where Long's shortcomings are. We've talked about Brooks' shortcomings on this show. I guess what you're saying is Soccer Dad doesn't have, access
time for that.
He don't have access to his own show, so he can't. So he's going to revert to sounding like a real hypocrite, basically. It's what he is online for saying that. So anyhow, we can move along.
Again, that's also the Twitter interactions in that sense that we highlight specific interactions like yours with Soccer Dad. But I would wager that if you guys were talking about soccer for the most part, you'd agree on a lot of things.
We probably would, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of response I got from saying something as simple as, well, maybe Greg will work things out with Brooks and we won't really need Miles anyhow going forward. That's a pretty simple statement. So I would have liked a better, well, you know what? Well, he did. He actually said, well, he can't play a high line. Well, we don't really play a high line anymore. Haven't for a while.
Yeah.
Not since Reem's been playing.
Here's my response.
Every MLSer that goes to Europe talks about the speed and thought and decision-making is the first hurdle after moving. Having constant pressure nipping at your heels makes you sharper. I understand his likely reasons for picking Cincy. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I'm not saying he's garbage. I'm not saying he's out of the U.S. men's national team picture. I'm saying if you go to Europe, you're not going to magically become better. You're going to be. We've talked about this all show,
right?
But I understand why he picked Cincy in this instance. And maybe who knows what happens afterwards. Yes, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
Because again, if it wasn't about the money, he'd be in Europe fielding many options at many different divisions and leagues.
Theoretically.
Well, he's a free agent. He's played for the U.S. national team. All that.
He had to have some other offers.
I guarantee you, he had. I'm sure his agent could have gone to anybody and say, "Hey, this guy's on the free. We're willing to take this amount of money." And there'd be a number of teams that would be willing to do it.
Well, another indicator here is how quickly he made this decision. Yeah. Right? He could have waited. The window just opened. He could have waited for more offers to be made.
The decision was made prior to the window.
Yeah, he was ready to he wanted that money. He'd already made up his mind. He wasn't going to wait around and wait for the best deal from abroad. He won't make money now. And that's what he did. All right.
All right. Let's see what's next. Oh, nothing really new. We knew this, but new team and all.
Yeah, there's not much to say here, except I hope Zach gets shit together, gets healthy, and I don't know if he'll ever challenge for a spot on the men's national team again. I don't know. But
here's the big thing. He could go to MLS. He could go to Colorado, have a great season, and already be in contention. Because who do we have that's going to be competing?
He could.
At this point, when he goes back, it's either incredibly young, youthful players that are playing for youth teams in Europe, or it's Gaga and Turner. Those are the only two. Horvath will soon be in MLS as well.
He will be in MLS as well. So, yeah. I mean, listen, we don't have a whole deep group of guys playing goalkeeper right now, so anybody can bark their way back into this conversation.
Now, we talked about how he wasn't overly happy with Berhalter. So who knows? He goes back to MLS and does well in maybe Calendar, maybe who's the Cincy goalkeeper? Salentano get called up over him. Maybe
very
that's
possible.
A rift, it hasn't been mended yet.
Well, and
speculating, people. Speculating.
No, I mean, based on what I heard, how that conversation went with Greg, it wasn't a good one. Yeah. As you can only imagine how, pissed Stefan would have been to be told that,
you're number two.
You're number two. And that's, of course, when he was not happy with being told he was number two. He's like, hey, I did what you said. I went to Middlesbrough for the whole season before the World Cup so I could get steady playing time. I did it. My team was one of the best teams in the championship. Now you're not even going to give me a shot. And I guess, like we said, when he was not going to accept being the number two behind Turner, Greg would rather not have the agony of having him along, frumping around, being upset in the locker room about being number two. It's easier to pick Horvath, who's going to just simply take it. I mean,
That's been his career.
Who is better at sitting on the bench than Ethan Horvath? Yeah. That guy accepts sitting on the bench like nobody's business. All right, what else we got?
Last one I've got.
Okay. Breaking. Monterrey are finalizing a deal up to $8.5 million to sign forward Brendan Vasquez from Cincinnati. Hey, man, that's a lot of dough.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to pay him well.
Well, he's going to get 10% of that, first off. Right from
and really, did you expect him at any time to go to Europe and actually compete for the starting two spots open at center forward on the U.S. men's national team? First of all, that's not a lot of spots, and those spots are filled. I mean, he would have to go over there and just do serious damage. And I don't think anything he does at Monterrey are going to change the fact that Ballo and Pepe are 1 and 2.
Quick question, though. I mean, obviously, I know it's going to come down to money. He might make more money at Monterrey in this situation. Does he stand a better chance going to Liga MX, scoring goals than he would in MLS and scoring goals?
I don't think the standard between the two leagues is spread out as much as it used to be. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've got MLS teams winning some of those championships now between the leagues. I don't see a major difference. I used to see a major difference, but now when I watch, I really don't see a gigantic difference between the quality, overall quality, except for depth. Still see a depth issue for MLS. But if you're talking starting 11, the leagues are looking really a lot closer than they used to be. And I don't think that, Landon Donovan or Josie Altidore or anybody going over to score a bunch of goals in Mexico is going to make one lick of difference.
Yeah, and then, I guess in the end, it's all going to come down to Berhalter's view and how he rates things. What if Ferreira's here at FC Dallas scoring goals, and he and Brandon's over in Monterrey scoring goals? Who's he going to rate over what?
Well, he I think he rates them fairly equal, the leagues. Yeah. So it's just about who scored more goals. But I don't think either of them have a snowball's chance in hell of ever making the United States men's national team again. So just go make your money. That's what I'm saying. Go make your money.
It's funny, though, because And Fumar mentions this. The Gladbach talks were before or pre-Ballo. It was at the beginning of the season. Ballo hasn't quite shifted over yet. But if Gladbach were that interested, and they made an official bid, and since he turned it down because they wanted to finish out the season, why weren't there still options in Europe? Maybe there were. Maybe the issue here, again, similar to Miles, is it comes down to the money.
Did you watch Brandon?
Yes, we had this conversation last show. I'm just saying.
Dude, he didn't. Listen, the season before, when he scored goals by the bunches, disappeared this season into oblivion. And when you got another guy on your team named Luchi Acosta providing all the service that he can provide, and you're scoring like a tiny cupful of goals this season compared to the other season, yeah, your stock's going to go down. And by the way, since then, Gladbach has went out and got Pifak as their target striker. So they fulfilled the need they needed.
No, I agree with that. And I said that from the get-go when that bid got nixed and then Pifak went there. I'm like, well, there's no chance he's going back there because they don't need him now.
I mean, Balogun would have to crumble into tiny pieces, just fall apart as a player. Pepe would have to absolutely disintegrate as a player for anybody else to have a chance right now. And the only other guy I think that really has a chance right now is Sargent, and that's because he can play winger. So he can line up as a winger. So he's probably still going to get a sniff. And Berhalter loves him, some Josh Sargent. So I don't know. Good luck to him. I mean, I hope if he goes, he's really successful, and he scores bucket loads of goals, and is one of the top goal scorers in Mexico. I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
I only wish him the best. I just don't think he'll ever be a U.S. men's national team player.
So, in all cups this season, that's including Open Cup, MLS playoffs, and even Leagues Cup, Vasquez had 17 goals and 2 assists.
How many have in MLS?
He had 9, counting playoffs.
Yeah.
He scored like 5 goals in Leagues Cup. So, like I said, it's including all cups. But
Leagues Cup, I guess.
It's a cup. I mean,
but
that's we talked about that earlier.
If you're talking about him being a major driving force for Cincinnati making the playoffs and being probably one of the best teams in the league, he wasn't it this season. He was the
go-to striker. Yeah,
he was the season before.
Yeah,
I don't know where that guy went. I don't know. I didn't watch every Cincy game. I watched the playoffs.
Whether that was a fluke season or if this was an off season, I don't know.
Well, we said it at the time. Let's see if he can do it again.
Yeah.
Remember when he had that great season? I said, let's see if he can do it again. If he can do it again, he will go to Europe. And he can go prove himself in the Bundesliga or wherever. And maybe he can fight for a spot. But he had a lesser season. And all the offers seemed, I guess, we'll see. We're just at the beginning of this transfer window. Is it possible that somebody knocks on his door and says, hey, we're sitting at the bottom of the Bundesliga, and we can't score goals. So could you come and help us out? I don't know, Mainz. Somebody might knock on his door. But it ain't going to be one of the top teams. It ain't going to be Gladbach at this point. They got what they need. So,
yeah.
A penis head and a turd attend a basketball game.
Travis goes, get this man off my television.
What game?
It was a basketball game on TNT. Okay. But the TNT, I'm guessing it's TNT because they're advertising the game that's on TNT. But yeah, they advertised it. Look at that massive advertisement for the game. I'm sure everybody read that.
January 20th for Slovenia on TNT Max. I'm not even going to get that game. I don't get TNT, I don't think.
TNT. You're more than welcome to come here, man. I got HBO Max.
All right. I might have to do that because I'm not getting HBO Max just for this game.
And
not any.
20th is Saturday. Oh, yeah.
All right. Perfect. Hopefully it's not on at fucking 10 p.m. at night.
That's a great question. I can find that out real quick.
Are there any others? Or are we done?
That's it. Did you want to cover the the Slovenia games at 3 p.m.?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I got to start drinking by 5. All right.
Chris Gary also says it'll be on one of the Spanish channels if you get one of those.
Oh, then I get one of those. I get most of those,
No,
actually.
I'm just going to go back to that real quick. Go back to U.S. Soccer and their wonderful site that takes forever to load.
Okay, just a quick.
It's on TNT, Telemundo, Universo, Max, Peacock. And
Peacock.
TV.
Okay, I get it.
There we go.
Not that I don't want to come over to your house, but
Yeah. Well, why leave the luxury of your own house, right?
exactly. No
You gotta
kids.
put on pants, the worst.
No kids here. Yeah. So not that your kids are bad. I just
I hear you.
I did my
Can I come over to your house instead?
Yeah, you're welcome to if you want to. All right. Let's see. Midweek report.
Let's hammer through that.
Yeah, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. All right.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Kumar does say Peacock, and they play it in Spanish.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
They do.
English is going to be on TNT and HBO.
They basically play, I think, the NBC Universo.
Yeah. I think you're right.
On Peacock. So I got to watch all
Makes
those
sense.
in Spanish. I'm trying to get better at Spanish.
Look at this thing.
What does it say? Something about bourbon? Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Oh, yeah, you guys just did that not long ago.
Yeah.
All right.
I came down with wearing this hat, and the wife's like, "What the fuck are you wearing my hat for?" I'm like, I need to spice it up a bit. I don't have any hats yet.
Where's anonymity to tell you that you're killing yourself? All right. Drinking too much
He
bourbon.
was on earlier.
Was he? Okay. Anonymity. All right.
Chris Gary says, "Wow, only a 2-hour show."
Well, we're not done yet, Chris. All right, because I got to talk about Pulisic. Went 20, got an assist and a win for AC Milan.
Mm-hmm.
Pulvara went 90 and a win for Aberdeen. He seems to be Pulvara has taken over that starting role at right winger for Aberdeen. Sargent 30 minutes and a goal, which was
Aberdeen like 3rd or 4th in the Scottish League.
I think they're 4th or 5th. It's not much of a difference, but
yeah.
Dwayne Holmes was in the 18, didn't play. That was a little awkward because he's been playing. And
Aberdeen's an 8th.
8th, okay. Not that I follow that league that closely. I just follow CCV and Pulvara. Haji Wright, 82 minutes, another goal, and another win. Cannon, 90 minutes and a loss. Man, QPR going down, baby. They are going down. One of the classic teams in the old first division, QPR.
Well, I mean, they have 4 losses in the last 5 games, and yet they're only like 4 spots out of the relegation zone.
I don't see any hope for them, though. Kelman was in the 18. He didn't play. Luca De La Torre went 20 in the win. Little concerned right now. He's lost his starting spot, and now they're winning. Okay. Cardoso did not dress yet, although he is there.
I thought that was the talk. He was going to walk off the plane and immediately start the next match.
I never thought that. I said it on the show.
That was the running talk during Twitter's during that time.
No, I know Tax said that, but I think Tax, he's got Hoppy syndrome. Like I had Hoppy syndrome because I have connections. Yeah. He's got connections to him, and so I think he's being really, really, really positive when I don't think there's any way he gets off the plane and plays. There's just no way.
And I don't know if Tax responded or anybody's responded to this. Tax got a question asking if Johnny didn't pick the United States to play for, where would he be at on the depth chart for Brazil?
About 500 leagues under the sea.
It's like I don't see it happening.
You know how many Brazilians play in Spanish league, and the English league, and France, and Germany? I mean, it's
every league in Europe.
Dude, it's just like 7 or 8 Brazilians on every fucking team, it seems like.
Yeah.
So good luck. So he's playing for us.
Brian Marco's asking, where's Hoppy? He's back with Burrow.
Yep, he's back at Burrow, riding the pine. He did not make the we'll see. But he's not going to make the 18.
He officially just got back.
Yeah, but I wouldn't expect to see his shiny face anytime soon.
Yeah.
Toljan went 45 for Sassuolo in a loss. Weah with that beautiful goal today. 30 minutes and a goal. I did not see the end of the Crystal Palace game today. Did they win?
I'll look it up real quick.
Richards went 90, or it looked like he was about to go 90.
0-0 tie.
Okay. Well,
how does that work out in the FA Cup? Do they play 2 games?
what do you mean?
It's an FA Cup match.
Yeah.
How does that work? How does the draw work in the FA Cup? I guess is my question.
Oh, then it goes back to the other place.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, they got to go play at the other stadium now. And so, yeah, Richards playing 90, so he's not going anywhere. And everybody who is still on Twitter saying Richards needs to go somewhere, he's not going anywhere. So you can stop posting it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Richards is not going anywhere. And you're just not paying attention if you still think he is. He's staying with Crystal Palace. He's a starter.
Yeah. That's a 6, unfortunately, but still.
Right. And then other people saying, well, Richards doesn't even play center back, so why we have him on the list of center backs for the U.S. men's national team? It's not even really a center back.
To Adams.
Oh, that's another horrible one. No, folks, we need him to play center back from us. And by the way, he's playing so fucking far back as a central defensive midfielder for Crystal Palace. He might as well be a third fucking center back on that team. That's how far back he's playing. So it's not like he's playing wildly out of position. He's still very defensive minded there. It's not center back. I get it, but still close enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm happy he's playing. That's what matters there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that'll do it. I think we covered everything tonight that we were going to cover. We will be back on Monday. I'm looking forward to a bunch of fucking soccer games because there really wasn't a whole lot on this week, which is frustrating because, you know, you come home, work, you want to watch all the games you missed, you go through and you realize there weren't any games today, or there were games, but not for any of the teams I care about. Like no Americans played.
I'm hoping that ESPN has Norwich this week.
Well, I got to go back and finish the Crystal Palace game because I believe that's on ESPN Plus. So
I think the FA Cups are, yes.
Yeah,
so I think all of English Cup games are. So
I'm going to go check that out and see how he played. Okay, so until the next time on the Straight Red Card, remember, stepsister, not incest. Cousin, definitely incest.
Definitely.
We've made that very clear. All right, we'll see you Monday. Take care.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel, turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh,
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person